Hello, 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 everyone. Happy Easter. Happy Good Friday. Happy Good Friday. I just thought I'd just come on and just, you know, give a quick chat about something that I see, well, that I know has happened, right, to two friends of mine. And it's in terms of them being married. And I wanted to know you guys' opinion if, for those of you who are married, do you check your status as a married person? Because I have two friends, two males, and they have divorced their wives without the wives knowing that they're divorced, right? So one of them, oh, sorry, I'm just rinsing out a pot. So one of them is or was at the time looking to migrate, right? And to migrate to Canada. However, they were in a common law relationship with someone else in Jamaica, and then they were still married to their wife. Well, their estranged wife who was in the States. And in order to be able to apply, or for their common law spouse who they were living with in Jamaica to come with them, they had to divorce the wife who was in the States. So they, you know, did their do because at the time coming to Canada with a common law spouse, you have to show them that you have been together for a certain amount of time, X, Y, Z. But they didn't know that since they were married, they would have had to show divorce papers, right? Before they could actually come with the common law spouse. So, because they were married in Jamaica to the estranged wife, and the estranged wife was now living in the States, what they did was put a notice in the paper in Jamaica, because apparently what you have to do is put out a notice in the region of the last known address, right? To show that you have tried to, I don't know, tried to get in touch with them or whatever to go along with the divorce proceedings. So, anyways, yep, that's what they did. They put out the notice in the Jamaican paper, claiming that they're looking for this person, and they give them a certain time frame in which to contact them, and then when the person didn't contact them, because obviously, I mean, if you're in the States, are you really going to be looking in the Jamaican newspaper, and especially for marriage notices or disillusion of marriage notices and stuff like that. So of course the estranged wife in the US didn't see that notice, and then my friend was able to divorce his wife that way, going through the lawyer and stuff. So I don't know. I'm assuming she knows by now that she's divorced. I guess that's if she's gonna try and remarry somebody or whatever, then I don't know what routes they take. If you have to do a global search, I don't know. But anyways, so now my friend now has been married to this new wife for quite a number of years. So hopefully the first wife knows that she's divorced. Now, the second friend, boy, I tell you, sometimes, relationships and who you live with and how you treat people and what you do in relationships, boy, I tell you, sometimes it leaves you scratching your head. Now, this friend is, well, I don't even know how to consider it, whether to classify her as current wife or pa- or ex-wife, because so this friend was married before, right? And while he was married before, he hooked up with this new lady. Now, and he's living in Jamaica. He's an American citizen. So he hooked up with this lady. And, this is while he's married, right? And they end up having a few kids. So, anyways, he divorced his first wife and then got married to this lady. Well, him and the first wife, they were on the out, so that was an above board divorce. So with this new lady now, he got married to her and eventually, filed for her, and they went to the US. So in going to the US now, um, she got the conditional green card. When she went to the US and she's on the conditional green card, I guess whomever her friends were that, she has in her little circle, and he has some money. So I guess she doesn't probably doesn't want to be with him, or she wants some of his assets, because even though they're married, um there was nothing in her name really. He still had stuff in the ex-wife's name, which I said, well, anybody would be upset that, you're no longer married to that lady, so why isn't my name on anything? But I guess it's maybe the approach that she had, because he had everything. He has had his assets, his money, he had everything before he, met this new one. But anyways, him bringing her to the States and trying to tell her, you need to do something for yourself. Well, you have the kids here, but, you can try and do something, go back to school, do something to further yourself. He's trying to build her up so that, she's now in the land of opportunity, so she can, do some stuff for herself. So in the end, I mean, they can have a true partnership, right? She can help him, whatever. Anyways, I don't know. Now that she's living in the States, she has her friends who are living the supposed big life. So, she wants to rule with the Joneses per se. She, they have a few kids between them, because he has kids before and she has, the kids that they had together, plus she had a child before. So they have quite a few kids. So the consensus was for, you know, her to, I guess, have a bigger vehicle. But my lady didn't want to drive a bigger vehicle. She wanted to drive one of those small fancy cars to roll with the Joneses. She wants to, I guess, drive, since she's with the, you know, living in the States. Husband is rich, so you got to be a real housewife, right? Want to drive a flashy car. Don't want don't want to drive the mommy car. Want to drive a flashy car. So, you know, issues started there, and then I guess her friends, went in her head, and she started acting out certain ways, and eventually I guess, they kind of broke up for a bit. Um and she was out there, she had to go get a job herself or whatever. But he could tell, and based on her actions and based on some stuff that she was saying, that it's almost like she wasn't with the relationship anymore. So what he did, he went out to start protecting himself and his assets. So the house they were living in, he sold the house And then, since as when they split for the first time, sold the house, and they rented, ended up renting somewhere, number one. So there, she has no claim on a house, right? If they're supposed to get a divorce or anything, you can't say, okay, I want the house or whatever. And little things, I guess, he did to safeguard himself. But when she tried to, um, I guess, go through immigration process, she still needed some stuff from him. So there was a blockage right there. So I guess she didn't know that to get the 10-year PR, you still had to show some stuff. But anyway, whatever she did or whatever her friends were telling her to do, she wasn't successful. So they kind of went back together. But she went back to him, but he could tell that she was still kind of using him. It wasn't a legit reconciliation. You know what he did? He's a smart man, He's one of those, well, I mean, he's smart intellectually, but he's also street smart, extremely street smart. You know what he did? He went and divorced her, even while they went back to living together as a seemingly couple. My guy divorced her. So for the last few years, they have been divorced, but still living together, and she is none the wiser. Now you tell me, how would you feel if this happened to you? Right? You think that you're living with your spouse, husband, wife, whatever, not knowing that that spouse has divorced you and you're continuing living with them and not knowing. Now, at the end of the day, like when she goes to, when and if she goes to file a divorce and thinking that she has all these rights and, everything, there's probably nothing for her. You know what I mean? Because, oh my gosh. So, based on this, do you think that as a married person, you should be checking your marital status, periodically to check to see if your spouse divorced you and you don't know? I tell you, this is crazy. Give me your thoughts on the topic. Leave your comments and tell me, what do you think? Catch you on the next video. And please remember to like, share, and subscribe to this channel. All right, thank you.